Hi and welcome to my channel. It's Rebecca, also known as 4Kids at 147, and I'm going to make a start on my Heaven and Earth designs. I haven't got all my beads in all the tubs yet. If you've seen my bead prep video, I've done a few. I'm sort of starting on this first row, but I want to get some stuck. So I'm going to do a batch with you guys on video. Whether I end up going and doing some in the front room where I can't really video, time will tell. But I'm definitely going to do the first part with you guys. I might even just work on this in my craft room anyway. I don't need my light pad, so I can sort of have two different sets of supplies. But if you haven't seen my earlier videos, this is the one that I'm doing. This is the Little Dreamer's Tree, and it's a big long one, so it actually works out at 2.5 meters, and I'm going to start at the top. There's a few reasons I'm starting at the top, mainly because that's where the chart starts. So it sort of starts at the top and works its way down, but also I want to be able to have all the excess rolled up, and then if I do end up working on my little tray in the front room, what will sort of drape down is what I've already worked on, and what will be in effect sat on my lap will actually be blank canvas. So it's quite easy to start off with, which is part of the reason I want to sort of get going. So my first batch of squares is all, so my first 10 by 10, if it will focus, there we go, are all squares. So the square symbol is the 939, and then we do have a few different ones in that second square, and then we go back to a square of 939s. So for the beginning, I'm just going to pop my chart underneath so I can sort of reference it according to the square that I'm doing. I have my 939s, which again, if that will focus, there we go. That is the colour, the symbol and the number, which I've created in my own little pot, so that tells me it's a square. Oh yeah, I'm back. Sorry, just had a little visitor, but the visitor brought me a brew, so all is good in the world. So yeah, I'm going to start by having the sort of canvas here. I am going to work with a small tray. I normally work with a large tray, but apart from these big blocks at the beginning, it's very confetti on this canvas, so I figured a small tray will work just as well. It means I can keep my big tray in the front room with the one I'm working on the TV. I've got spare pens, so I've grabbed another pen, and I do have spare wax that's in its original. So let's first off load up the pen. I just tend to do one dip in the wax, tend to find is enough. And then we're going to tip some of my 939s. Now, if you've seen my previous videos on this one, these are all my spare drills. So I'm hoping to create most, if not all, of this canvas with the spare drills. And let's zoom you in. And my battery's about to die. So let's change the battery before we get started. Okay, the question is, how many times can I pause this before I actually get to stick a diamond? Quite a few. So I'm just going to zoom you in. I've tried to make it so that you will be able to see the canvas and the chart. Excuse me, not that it's very different at the moment. But I've already done my prep, so I have my strip peeled off into sections of 10. Now you will see some markings on this canvas at the beginning, and that's just because I was trying to see if I could give myself solid 10 grid lines by marking on the back. However, it did bleed a little bit, so I gave up on that idea. So my first one is 10 by 10. 6, 8, 10, yeah. So it's 10 by 10. I don't know why I'm checking it again, because I've already done it. So for the first square, it is a complete block of 10 by 10. So what I like to do when working with square diamonds, just checking, yeah, you can still see what I'm doing, is I like to sort of define my outline So I do like to take a little bit of care, more so around the edges. You always tend to find you take more care when you're first starting a canvas anyway. But if I'm in the middle of a canvas, you know, and I'm sort of not still at the careful stage, when it comes to around the edges, I do like to make sure that I pay that little bit more of attention, just to make sure that my lines all the way down the edges are nice and neat. And then as you go further into the painting, you find that the diamonds around the square diamonds will help nudge any others into place. So first things first is I like to get my little sort of border just to keep everything in it. And then when I'm working on big blocks of colour, it will vary, but quite often I do like to do what we call a checkerboard method. Now, if I'm working on a bigger section than 10 by 10, I might get a little bit of variety going on with how I create it. So instead of going alternate like this, I may decide to sort of do some little diagonal stripes. I'll go down to one corner, get this completed, and then when I hit an edge, quite often I'll then try and bounce off, so I might come across here, and then I might decide, okay, it's bounced off the edge and it's going to come up here, and I'll just sort of vary things up a little bit. It's like having a little game with yourself. While diamond painting, it can help a boring section of all one colour be a little bit more entertaining. And I don't think I got that one in the middle, but the rest of them will push it together when we fill in the gaps. So this is quite a small square. Excuse me. I have got a tickly cough today. So, I mean, I say it's a small square. It's 10 by 10. Which means I will be placing 100 diamonds. Just in this small square. We forget how many times we actually go back to our tray and back to the canvas, because it is quite a lot of diamonds, even just in this small square. And I'm on the easy part. Like, this whole square is, as I say, all one colour, and then once you're done with that, you can sort of fill in the gaps without paying as much attention, because you're just slotting it in, and if there's any that are slightly out of the way, what you'll find is that the rest of your diamonds will actually push it into place. So we get to fill up this little grid. Now, any slight gaps that you may have where you can end up seeing the canvas through, just, you know, if the diamond's a little bit of a different shape or something like that, you will find that they're nowhere near as noticeable once the whole picture's done. I mean, if you work with a light pad, I mean, that's just pushed one of them up already. Get some pink wax out of the way. If you work with a light pad, you will see the gaps in between very easily. However, as soon as the light... This is definitely turning into one of those videos. My memory card got full. I forgot to delete the last batch of videos that I'd uploaded off the memory card, and it got full. I do have spares, but never thought of that before starting. So, yeah, if you do find that there is gaps between your square diamonds, they're not as bad once the whole thing is completed. Say once the light pad, if you do have that, has been turned off, they're definitely nowhere near as visible. and quite often if you're working on a printed canvas with the symbols on, the actual background colour behind them is normally very similar to the colour that you're putting on as well, so it's nowhere near as bad. Right, I've just got a few diamonds there that weren't the right way up, so I've just given it another shake, and luckily they've all gone the right way up. And actually, I tipped out exactly 100 diamonds. Maybe things are on the up. So in regards to that now, that is that section completed. Now, when I do get to a busy section, I will be working at colouring in effect, colouring in the section that I've done every time I've done it. Many people will use a coloured pencil for this, and it can actually look a little bit clearer. Not doing very well at colouring in, am I? And it will actually look a little bit more vibrant and stand out a bit more than a normal pencil. But a normal pencil is what I have. So for now, I'm going to use that. If it becomes an issue, I will start using something else. But I have done my first section for my Heaven and Earth designs. So while I've actually ran out of the 939, instead of carrying on with it, which is what I was going to do, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to place these single ones in this next grid, which means I'm not then thinking about where they go. So the first one is a heart. Now this is part of the reason I have labelled up my containers, if that will focus. Come on. Oh, it needs my finger to focus. Are you going to focus, or am I just too zoomed in? I'm very zoomed in as well, so I think that's why my camera is not liking me lifting it up. Okay, there we go. I think it's getting it. No, it's not liking to zoom in. So anyway, I have, if you saw the 939, I have got the colour, the symbol and the number. So this one is the symbol heart. Now I do only need one of these, so I'm going to see if my pen will just pop in, and it has, but it's picked up one that is a double. So where two diamonds are sort of stuck together, joys of using spares, I suppose. And it's not going to release them, so I'm just going to dip my pen into the pot again and grab a different one, and for this I need to go 3 down on this side, and it is the 4th one. So that's the 4th one done, and that is all I need in this square of this colour. I think I'm going to find I'm going to be doing a lot of this on this painting. So I'm going to colour in that square just so I know that I have done that. And then we've got a Y symbol with 2 dots, and again we only need one of these. Now this one might be a little bit more tricky, so we are 2 rows down, and then I have 5 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm placing it. So that's sort of the way I'm counting across, so I know I'm coming 1 down. I've got 5 that will be 939, and then I'm placing 1 of this Y, and that sort of sets the basis for this square. And then I need a G, which is 820, and these are all different shades of blues at the moment. Trying to make sure that I'm picking one that is the right way up. Just makes it a lot easier when I'm placing it down. And then we've got 797. There's only a few in the bottom of here, but if I remember rightly, this actual painting only needs between 10 and 20 of this colour. I can't quite remember the exact number. And then I need the one that's a TM trademark, and that is 823. And that's that one. Now at the moment I just have my little pots lined up sort of in front of me with the sort of, they're just sort of in a line for the colours that I've tubbed up already for this first row. There will come a time that I'm more pulling them out of my storage, but for now this is working. And that means then that I can colour those 4 squares in, just to confirm they have been done. Also, when it does get to a lot of confetti symbols, I may end up pulling up this image either on the iPad or on my phone so that I can see them a bit clearer. But the rest is now 939, so let's give them a shake and get as many the right way up as I can. And then again, I'm going to take care when doing this top line, just because I do want those to be lined up as nicely as I can, because that is my framing edge. Now, one of the things that I do find, or have found and thought about, seem to have got a big gap. Oh, they'll push in. While doing this, is you don't need a light pad. You actually don't need a light pad for doing one of these, because you don't need to be seeing the symbols really. Yes, you do need to see your square lines, but I don't find that they are hard to see on the likes of a painting like this. You know, you can quite easily see the grid lines. You're not trying to distinguish between different symbols that are printed on it. So that's another reason that I may just do this project in my craft room, though time will tell. I'm sure I'll be very eager to start making some real progress and start seeing some image on this. So I'm not going to say never. This time I'm just going across in lines. Say sometimes I'll do the grid pattern, sometimes I'll just go across in lines. A lot of it just depends on my mood. There is no right or wrong way to do it. Just getting rid of a little, I'm trying to get rid of a little bit of pink wax. Yeah, there's no right or wrong way to do it. But I did want to get started because there has been quite a few comments since I put my opening my storage about people that can't wait to see what this looks like. Also on the Heaven and Earth Designs Facebook page for diamond painting, so a lot of people will of course convert charts into and do them as diamond painting, sorry, rather than convert. We'll take Heaven and Earth Designs chart and do it as a diamond painting. There is a Facebook page for that, and I know there's at least one person that does have this chart in their sights and is thinking of doing it, so it would be nice to get some sort of progress to help them in their decision as to how soon to get it. So, say it comes across coming together really quite quickly because of the fact that it is just blocks of colour, and in this case 939. But I'd be interested to know you guys' thoughts on doing a cross stitch pattern onto canvas, whether it's something you've ever thought of, whether it's something that just fills you with horror, which it can be with many people. It can, just the thought of it can be far too daunting. Even just a big project can sometimes be far too daunting. But I like a challenge. I do like things that are long-term projects that you can sort of dip in and out of, depending on how the mood takes you. I also like the sense of achievement once it's done. So I think this pattern, as and when it comes together, is going to look really good. Got no idea where it's going. Absolutely no idea where it's going. But I think it's going to look amazing once it's done. Got quite a bit of pink wax caught up in those, but I can always get a toothbrush on that later. And I just use my fingernail if I feel like I need to nudge some diamonds over to fill some gaps. But we've got square number 2 done. Let's just pop that down. Well, that didn't go down very straight. Pop that down while I haphazardly colour this in. Of course, when it gets to the point where I'm not doing a solid batch of colour, I'll be colouring these squares in as I go. Will also slow progress down, I'm sure, because I will be dipping in and out of bead containers, and that will be what will take most of my time. I may get adventurous and start doing a couple of squares at once, so I can get rid of certain colours at once, but for now, really, this is quite an easy start. It's an easy start to the process in the fact that it is all the same colour. And then the next batch is again all 939s. So I'm going to do my top edge. What I also do as I'm putting them down is just to count as I go along and make sure that it is definitely 10. I have measured these, I have counted them as I marked them. They don't look like they're out of sync, so the gap does look even. Quite often it won't look even if you've missed one, and it gives you a chance to recount. But they are all right. And then I've only got 2. I am one of those people as well that does like to finish the tray before tipping more in. I don't know if you're one of those people as well, but I'm still going on this round tub that I'm using that was full. I've still got loads left, and if you think about it, I've placed at least nearly 200 diamonds, with 100 in that square and close to 100 in that one. So with the ones I've placed already, I've already placed over 200. And there's still loads of room in that tub. So this is where I'm going to sort of do my little bounce off the sides. And then that's my current line. So I'm going to bounce back up this way. And how you tackle this, or any sort of project of this scale, is completely up to you. Some people will go down, so they'll do a row down. Some people will do the top row across all the pages before then going to the second line, and maybe we'll use multiple pages doing it. Some people just do the one page and then move on to the next one. I think that's what I'm going to do, but that's just my preference on this matter. I just find it's sort of a mini sense of accomplishment as well when I find that I've completed one whole page, but we'll see. So I sort of did a little bouncing off the sides then, and it's sort of got to the point now where I've lost track of where it's going, so I'm just going to fill in the sort of gaps with my checkerboard. But please pop down below any questions that you want to ask me, especially about this project, because it would be nice to discuss those while I'm doing it. But also any other questions that you may have. about diamond painting in general. Now, somebody did ask me very recently on a video, and I will be replying to them specifically as well, but to bring that up, or the question and the answer up, I'll also do it in this one, because it was quite an interesting question. I'm just going to have a drink of my brew though. Oh, that's good. There's no point in somebody bringing you a brew if you don't drink it, and it's already cooled down quite a bit. Somebody asked me, where do you start when you do your diamond paintings? So that actually varies for me as to where I start. So on this big one, because it is mammoth, I did find that working from page 1, which was up in this top left, and working my way down suited, because as I said at the beginning of this video, I do find that if I do work on this on my table, I want my rolled up canvas to be sitting on my lap, and I want the part of the canvas where I've already put diamonds to be able to flow freely off the other end of the table, or at least not be sat on my lap. That's if I worked on it in the front room. Working on it in here in my craft room is not as bad. I have a wide table. So yeah, for this one, I was always planning on starting in the top corner. Which corner it would have been was more determined by the chart. For other diamond paintings that I've purchased, you know, as a kit, a lot of that depends. So quite often with big ones, I will actually start in the bottom corner. No, sorry, I will start in the top corner for the reason that any that I've done can hang over the table. So quite often on a big one, that's how I'll start, so that what I've done has got somewhere to go. And I find that works. Whereas on smaller ones that fit on my table, so up to the size of say 40 by 40, for that, I tend to let the painting tell me. So I tend to find the most boring part of the painting. It tends to be the way I do it. So if I have got a painting that has got a big block of colour, so say it was just this, I would do the big blocks of colour first. I would do what I class as the boring part first. It can be quite relaxing, just doing one colour. You just don't have to think and you just plod on. But it also doesn't have that much of an impact to your actual, your visual aspect of your painting, you know, so there's no way of telling by this what the painting's going to look like, because it is one big block of colour. So on a smaller painting, so for example, this eye that I did, sorry, quite zoomed in, I started at the bottom because that's where most of the white was. So this was most of the boring section. So I started at the bottom so that when it came to the top, I still had something interesting to work on, and it still was showing the picture to me. If I would have started that diamond painting from the top, I would have already been able to see the whole of the eye by the time I came to the bottom section, and then it would have been like, oh, I'm just doing this because I have to finish it. Whereas when you start a new diamond painting, I find that I'm very eager to start. I want to get going, I'm enjoying it, and I'm not bothered what colour it is I'm putting down. You know, I'm not bothered if it's all the same colour. It's the fact that I'm starting it. So yeah, for me, on smaller paintings, I do the most boring part of the picture first. Is the way that I tend to do it. And then I'll leave an exciting part of the painting, or a part of the painting that reveals a nice part of the image. I'll save that till the end. So that tends to be the way that I decide how to start a painting. A lot of it can depend on, of course, the size and how you work. So how you actually work on a painting and where you want your spare canvas slash your completed part of the painting to sit while you're working on the other parts can very much make the decision for you, as it has done with this one. Yeah, so it is an interesting question. Everybody has different ways of working. Some people, it depends on whether they're right-handed or left-handed, you know, whether they think their hand's going to hit the canvas. And if I was working on this way, yes, I would be hitting the canvas straight from here if I hadn't have sectioned this off. So quite often I will start on the right-hand side, so then my hand is actually touching the edging. So if you're left-handed, it would be touching here while doing here. Whereas because I'm right-handed, it's touching here. But because I've sectioned this off into strips of 10, it's not so much of an issue for this painting, because my hand can reach up 10 squares without the rest of it getting in the way. So it's all those sorts of things that people think about, or even don't think about, but become aware of as they complete the painting, and it can change their decision on where to start, whether you're right-handed, left-handed. And just, you know, some people like to do the interesting part of the picture first, and if you do, that's fine. You know, that's the part of the painting that you start with then. It's your choice. There are definitely no rules. No real rules. I mean, yes, you should stick the right colour in the right space, but at the same point, I'm sure I've put the wrong diamond in the wrong place in the past, and as long as you don't do it too often, it doesn't make such a big difference to the painting. Okay, so I've moved on to the next square, as you may have noticed. I've got that top one crooked though. Get in. And I have another little section of 4 that is different colours. So what I've done is I've gone round. First of all, I've straight away boxed that off, so I know I need to put other colours in there, and then I've just used the rest of the diamonds from the tray. So what I'm going to do now is do my little dipping into the pot again. So we have another 797. Seems like I shut that quite tight. If I can get hold of one. And this I find is just so much easier. If I had more than one of them, then, you know, I'd tip them into my tray. But these are singles. There is quite a lot of the singles in this painting. So I may decide in the future, I may take the decision to mark up some trays and have multiple trays out. I've not yet decided. But I am open to the idea if that's what I feel the painting, you know, I'm going to need to get through it, is I may mark up some trays and have a few out. I would have to mark the trays though, otherwise I'd be constantly panicking it was the wrong colour. So that's those 4 done, so I can continue on with my 939s. I mean, really, I don't know why I had to use what was in my tray, because it's not like I used the tray to get the others out. But sometimes it's just the way my brain works. Finish that one section and then you can do the other pretty little colours. So we're on the sky above the tree for this one, which is why it's not too dramatic in its colour changes, but it does help this painting start to come together quite quickly. So I'm just going to have some more of my brew because it is going cold on me. I don't know how long I've been chatting to you guys. I'm trying to think if there's any other questions that I've had recently that people have asked on my channel that I could answer for everybody else in case it's something that's ever come in your head. I did have somebody say that they've never had the wax arrive like this on the little pallets. They've always had it in a tub. I'm not sure what company it is that they use that does it in a tub. I know there is at least one that does. I'm just not sure of what company it is. Okay, just had to restart you, apologies. My camera records for a certain amount of time and then it processes it, and you have to hit record again. This is going to be such a bitty video. Sorry, yeah, I was talking about the wax. So somebody said they'd only received it in a pot. I'm not sure what company they get it in a pot from. I did put one of my wax into a pot, into a little pot I had from my scrapbooking supplies, just because I found it just kept it from drying out, and looked quite pretty in my little toolkit box. But yeah, every wax that I've ever had from any company has always come in a little plate, and it's always been the pink, either the dark pink or the light pink wax. But there we go, that's another one done. I am just doing the odd little bit with my nail just to sort of make sure the spacing's right, but as you can see from a distance you can't really tell. So let's get this square marked off. And it's coming together quite quickly. So we've done 4 squares, done 400 diamonds while chatting. Still got loads to go, still got another 400 just to finish the first row on this page. Never mind all the rest. But that's the idea of this, isn't it? It comes together bit by bit. I have noticed that I didn't cut off all the rest of the glue down the side of here, which could start picking up stuff. So I am just going to score it, and I am just scoring it with the knife without pulling down the ruler because I have got the diamonds there. So I'll make sure I got that first part, and then I've scored it across. So I just need to get hold of this little bit of glue, and I'm going to peel that up, and then it won't pick up. Oh, my markings are actually on there as well, so I might need to re-put my markings on, but just pulled up quite simply that little bit of glue from down the side of this, which gives that a nice, we've got a nice clean edge on both sides. We'll have to see how this 10 by 10 grid works when I get further into the middle. Might have to start being a little bit more careful. But for, hang on, let's have a look. Okay, so let's mark this here because this is the end of the first page, is there. Now I still think I'm going to do a page at a time, though I am tempted to pull out my next page and actually do all the way across so that I can get rid of this, or I might just cut it down. I'm not decided yet. Okay, so I have one here that is a letter G, and as it is the only one and it is quite hard to see, I am going to get that placed down first. So let me get hold of one, and then we go 3 in, so 1, 2, 3, and then it is directly under the third one on the second row. Some people will count different, some people will count 1 down and then it's, you know, the third one in. Some people count across. Whatever works for you is the best way to do it, because otherwise you make mistakes. I'm going to get that, there we go. So I've got the next one in across the top neatly, and it has straightened up the sort of wonky one that I put down before. but then this whole row, again, this whole square, the rest of them are all 939s. So we have 99 939s on this square, because of course we've done one in another colour. So make sure that's straight. If you do have struggle with this first part being straight, you can always use a ruler and place your ruler down and then you're butting up to that. It's completely up to you what works for you. Say there are many different ways to do it, but I am really looking forward to how this diamond painting is going to develop, what it's going to look like. I do still need to get some more of these diamonds sort of numbered up and into my case out of my spares. I've not done them all yet, but I was eager to get started. I'm going to have another slurp in my brew. So there is a few, I'm not sure if you can actually see it. Let me move this over. There's quite a few different symbols here on this black section. You can probably see because it's lighter than the rest. So I've got one in this square that I'm currently doing. This is all 939s, and then I've got one in this square. And then there's quite a few different ones in this square, and I've not labelled them all up yet. So I'm definitely going to have to pause before I get to this end square and label some up. And of course then when I move on to the next line, I'll need to be labelling. But what I might do is label them up as I go. So it will take a little bit longer when it comes to that. But because I'm working from my spares and I have one storage case that holds 60, I'm not looking at getting in storage pots all 239 colours. Not at the moment, I'm not. So I might do it by row in advance. I might do it as I go along. To be honest, I'm not quite sure. I'm guessing I'll get bored of one way and change it to another way and find something that suits better, but only time will tell me what that is. But I've definitely got the first few up to this square. I've definitely got all of those bagged up so that I could get started. I have got another case on its way that holds 60. So that should at least hold all of the colours I need for the first page. Quite possibly it will hold all the ones I need for the second page because I go across. So I reckon it's going to have most of the similar colours, and then the other ones are going to actually come into play further down the design, as we start getting into things like leaves and little shells for fairies to sit on and stuff like that. So I reckon the second case will be enough for the time being. But I was just too eager to get this done, and because I'm doing it with my spare diamonds and not with I've not ordered the whole kit, all the diamonds needed and all of that caboodle all at once, because that's not the way that I've ordered it. What was I saying? Yeah, because I've not ordered it all as one kit, I've got everything in one place. I'm not kitting up like I normally would a diamond painting. If I'd have bought and ordered all the colours, then I would have ordered all the storage and I would have started to tub up every single colour. It's just the way that I like to do a kit. Because this is out of my spares, I know I don't have all the colours. I know some of them I may not have enough of. I've just decided, because it is a long-term project and more spares will come in from other paintings as I go along, excuse me, I'm just gonna do it as I go along. And then if I need a colour and I don't have it in one of my diamonds in my stash, that will be, of course, available once I've done it, then I might order some. And if I have to wait a bit, then that's fine too, because I've got other sections that I can be getting on with. But I'm sure you'll see how it goes in the journey that I'll share with you guys as we go along. But yeah, if you've got any questions, please ask them below. If you want to see how this diamond painting progresses, then please hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification button, and then you will get alerted when I post a new video. And I will always be putting the HAED, Heaven and Earth Designs. I will always be putting that short code in the title of all the videos that are relating to this. I may even create, in fact, yeah, I probably will create a playlist as well for this. So anything relating to the Heaven and Earth Designs painting, which I'm doing, you will be able to see in one playlist. So it'll all be in one place for you. And then you can watch them at your leisure, and if you decide to do one, you might decide to go back and have a look at how I've got mine all set up and organised. You may not. It's completely up to you. But yeah, I'm going to sort of stop filming here because I've sort of run out of things to chat about. Though I might get this next section finished, and then I'm going to get some of the other colours prepped and in pots. I'm just happy that I've got some done. So thank you so much for watching and bearing with me through the various different pauses in this video, and I'll speak to you all again soon.